Wait for that to happen. We have a recording. It's started. So everything we do now will be somehow registered, etc. So what I'm going to talk about, provisioning of services with PLM. Why are we talking about provisioning services with PLM? I don't want to do that yet. I want to first talk about the product flow. Sorry, I was somewhere at the bottom of the module. So why do we want to talk about product lifecycle manager? As I said before, initially, for those that are working very long with the platform, they might remember that initially we had a platform called Parallels, we had operations, we had billing in there, we discussed that already. Those two components are still there, but we had direct integration with individual services, and those services lived in the data center of the provider, of the distributor, of at least also, in most cases, the entity that was also running the Parallels automation setup. We are talking about hosted Exchange. We were talking about hosted Link. Do you remember that product? Basically, the predecessor from Teams that was on local. And those kind of things we would have a direct integration with. The downside of that was that it required a lot of work if, for instance, Microsoft with their hosted messaging and collaboration, their hosted Exchange and their hosted Link, et cetera, when they would make a change, Microsoft was still every time reinventing the wheel. So also on that side, we were faced with, oh, we have to redo the API methods we have for that integration. It made things slow. So we decided to rebuild our integration into what has become APS, Application Packaging Standard, where we had, I would almost say, a fairly generic way of integrating from our from our commerce environment to services. And the advantage was we could not only use APS to integrate with local services, but we could also use it to integrate with cloud services. Microsoft at some point went from hosted Exchange to, I'm not sure if people remember it, it might be that I'm just too old for this world. In BPOS, Business Productivity Online Suite, that has become Office 365. So they were starting to host those mailboxes, et cetera. Over time, we noticed that APS had also had its issues, because not every single provider that was running an APS for a specific service would always update their APS instance to the latest version. There could be several reasons to not do it. We don't have time to do it. We need to test it first, and we don't have time to test. We want to have it in production, but we cannot do that without having tested it in staging first, et cetera. It was a tedious process because you had to update several components after each other. So at some point we decided, let's change this and let's go and centralize that APS management. And that became our Connect platform. So now we have actually got two platforms. Connect is the fulfillment platform. So that is where all orders end up to be distributed to the respective vendors, so that the respective vendor can start provisioning the service, building the tenant, assigning the licenses, et cetera. And we've got the commerce part that handles the, let's say, the financial stuff between the vendor and the customer. These two are not connected directly. These are two separate platforms. Connect is a cloud-based platform that we are hosting, that we are running, that we are managing, that we are updating, et cetera. And then you have commerce. And for commerce, we have multiple flavors. We've got a SaaS version. So again, we manage it, we handle it, but there are also dedicated platforms, and we have a dedicated SaaS version again. So again, we run it, but it's dedicated for a customer. Or we have platforms like American Mobile has it, a platform in Brazil, a platform in Colombia, etc., etc. So that means that these platforms are both independent. And if, of course, we need to somehow get data, requests, orders from commerce into Connect, we need an intermediate. We need an intermediate, and it used to be the cloud, the Connect extension, but the Connect extension had all kinds of, I would almost say, downsides in the way it worked with larger product sets. And with larger product sets, for instance, I'm meaning Office 365. If you look at Office 365, you probably all know how many service plans you have for Office 365, how many resources are available through Office 365, et cetera, et cetera. And you can imagine that creating service plans, et cetera, in a manual way, which is what the Connect extension only could offer, is not a doable thing. So what we decided is we decided that we need something where we can automate more. Automate more as in the moment we import a product, we not only import all the resources, but we also create the service template, and we need that tool or that integration component to also allow us to bulk create all those service plans that are there. And that is where product lifecycle management came in. Product lifecycle management, or as in the rest of this training, I will call it PLM, is a separate microservice. It's a separate microservice with its own release cycle. This PLM component is available since Commerce 20.5, so it is available on 20.5 and all version 21s that are there, and there is no specific dependency for the rest of a Connect release. That means that what we do is we use native APIs, and as long as those APIs on Connect do not change too drastically, like being removed, we can always talk with PLM to the CloudBlue Connect environment. It is a microservice that is embedded in CloudBlue Commerce, though. So there is a dependency on CloudBlue Commerce. If you are on CloudBlue Commerce version 20.4, PLM is a no-go area. Since you are all on 20.5 or higher, PLM is an area to at least investigate. So what does it offer me? It actually, I would almost say, is a door between the two systems. It's a little bit of middleware that we install on the CloudBlue Commerce side. So in our SaaS environments, we will install it by default, because for us, it makes life a lot easier. In any dedicated on-prem setup of CloudBlue Commerce, on-prem as in owned by the provider. I mean, if you're going to version 21, it's still not automatically SaaS. It could still be that it's installed in your Azure environment or in your data center, as long as there is a Kubernetes environment where we can install it in. But PLM will be part of that deployment, and it will be connecting to the distributor account you have in CloudBlue Connect. About distributor account and vendor accounts, the next training that I'm delivering for American Mobile will be the training on Connect end user. So if you're more interested in more of that, about that, you're absolutely welcome to join me there. Or watch the recordings that I will upload at some point, of course. So where do I find it? Well, this one is a typical UX1 service. We built this with the consideration that we assume that we will somehow move to UX1 completely in the near future. So we decided not even to invest in installing or building something that would hook up to the classic panel. So if you want to see Product Lifecycle Manager in action, you have to be in UX1. And we have some components that are only visible at this moment, at least, in UX1 for providers. There are some things coming for the reseller still, but let's first look at provider level. What do we have? And this is all part of what portfolio are you offering. So we see products here, all the products. We will talk about the terminology, because if I could have gone back 4 or 5 years when we started with building PLM, and I could talk to the product team, I would tell them to do it different as they have done now. But you will see that. And what I can see here and what I like is I can go to what we call the external catalog. And the external catalog is, in this case, I want to talk about the Connect catalog. Maybe I should select it. It doesn't want to do that. It will take some time. But it will show me all products that are available to me as a distributor in Connect. And we will look at what is there. You see some blues. I see some greens. I see all products. I see the installed products, right? We will discuss what is there. If I want to know more, there is some information, test description, managed services. I have a managed services catalog. I see here that the problem is that this product was not set, as you see here. Remove this text before publishing your product. Somebody started building something, he published it, and there is not that much done. But what I can do is I can add it to my portfolio. What if I do? I'm not going to do that now. What happens is the system, commerce system, will connect to the Cloud Blue Connect system and say, okay, I want to import this product. What happens on Connect is an APS package will be generated. And the fun part is the technology of APS is still there, but we have a platform that generates those APSs. It will generate the APS and send it to the commerce environment. The commerce environment will install that APS package. It will pull all the items, all the resources from the system, and it will generate the respective necessary service templates. That's step one. After that, I already have the integration between Commerce and Connect set up, so that if I use that service template, the system will know to hand it a request, an order, or a request for provisioning, let's call it that, to Connect, and Connect will talk to the right vendor, and that vendor will build that service. Whether it's automated on Connect or whether it's manual on Connect, this is decided by the vendor itself. So that is a quick walkthrough of the integration that we have. So what does PLM offer me? What does it do? The first thing is it is responsible, like I just showed you, for onboarding new products. If I click that button, the product will be onboarded. And what does onboarding mean? It means that it will create a reference from that specific product in the database, that if somebody buys something from this specific PRD or product, send it to Connect. It will create all objects in commerce. So what I'm talking about is it will create eventually, initially it creates the resources and it creates the service template, but eventually PLM is also responsible for creating the service plans. It's an add-on step, but it's still handled by Product Lifecycle Manager. And the fun part is PLM is responsible for the full life cycle of the system. That means that if things change, if new resources are added to a product, you do that in connect. The moment you're done, you say publish this. That means that the admin in commerce will see that there is a new version of the product available. He can upgrade. New resources will be created in the in commerce, and probably there is also a resource file, a product file that is updated that I can import, and that will also change the service plans that are available. If products are decommissioned, that same file can decommission those products. And the fun part is it's mass management. I do not have to go into a wizard one by one to create all those, like with the Connect extension, where I create 700 plans in a wizard one by one. I don't have to go to service plans and say, add new service plan, fill out the fields one by one, 700 times. Everything is automated. And it has its own provisioning engine. And what do I mean with that? For those that are familiar with the product, commerce, might know that there is something called a dummy gate. Dummy gate is a tool to allow manual products that don't have real integration behind it, but you can still sell those products. It all comes down to, okay, now we're going to manually provision it. And PLM offers a replacement for that. Because in version 21, dummy gate is decommissioned. We have an alternative in Product Lifecycle Manager there. And it's it allows you for a powerful product launch, because you want a, let's say, quick go-to-market or a short go-to-market time. And the thing is that with the previous version, with APS or with the Connect extension, if you had to create all those products manually, it's a lot of work, which means that you can only go to market for Office 365, for instance, after you've created 700 plus service plans. I think that is not a feasible scenario. It's very simple. It takes too long to build those. And it's, besides that, it's too error prone, meaning we make errors. We all make errors. That's not crazy. That's not stupid. We all make errors, and eventually those errors will be coming up because you're getting tired. You've done this 15 times, so you think you know how it works, and you go and basically your body automates the manual flow, and that's the moment where you start forgetting things. You start forgetting switching on service plans, enabling service plans. You start forgetting to add the correct resources, things like that. So what we want is to have, I would almost say, a foolproof, fast mechanism. And that is, again, where Product Lifecycle Manager, PLM, comes in. So how can PLM help in this case? Well, like I said, it allows for, I would almost say, a go-to-market time after a new product has been created in PLM, because that still takes time, right? Somebody has to build it. The vendor has to build it, or we do it as custom software development, or you do it yourself, depending on the scenario. That is the part that still takes time. But when that product is ready, and I will later define what I think means when I say a product is ready, it means that I can be basically up and running with that product in a production environment where customers are able to buy it within, let's say, an hour. And I'm not kidding you. Technically, it's possible to be live within an hour. Of course, there are dependencies that you might need to fulfill first. Somebody needs to be standby to do, for instance, the pricing, to set up the pricing for your specific marketplace. But it is possible to do it that way. Of course, it depends on the size of the product, etc., etc. But let's say in normal ways, a day is not a very fast, for PLM at least, a very fast deployment. It's a normal day of work. It's a normal time frame to receive the product and let's say sign the contracts and have it in your marketplace up and running, and your first sale could be made. That is what I'm talking about here. Then, of course, PLM is built for automation. That means that PLM has a full set of APIs. A full set of APIs to manage the product portfolio. And one of the things that might surprise you, or at least is not always understood, that creating portfolio, which is the responsibility of PLM, does not automatically mean that we also set prices through PLM. Price configuration is still, let me go home first. Come on. Where's my home? There's my marketplace. I want to have the home button. Something is weird. I expected a home button here. Let's go to UX1 again. No home button. Somebody's playing with this. Okay. Pricing is still the responsibility of the price manager, the same price manager as when we are in billing and we go to prices here. So in that case, you see, you first create all the plans and all resources, etc., and then you add a price to it. Price manager is a different scenario, is a different tool. And the last thing is reconciliation. A simple way of uniquely identifying product end-to-ends from the vendor to financial system. So the whole reconciliation of what you have sold in commerce into the, let's say, eventual invoice that you receive from Microsoft. Everything comes together into PLM. So what are the products that are involved? Well, those products involved in this case are just Connect, the product part of Connect, and PLM in commerce. Those two are involved. Offers and prices in Connect are not taken into consideration at this point. And to be honest, I'm not even sure if they will be, because the prices are suggested market prices, and we know that most vendors give their distributors some kind of discount, etc. It means that at some point the price manager, of course, will come into play. PLM is only for product portfolio import, not for the pricing. That means we define a price in Connect. That price is a manufacturer suggested retail price, is an MSRP that we can use in Price Manager, but it's not automatically imported. Of course, we want to sell through different channels, through different marketplaces. PLM does not post those things in those marketplaces. We can share the plans. We can enable the plans. We can distribute or delegate the plans to our resellers using PLM, but we are not storing them in that marketplace. You have to go and do that in the marketplace itself. So that is the integration that we're looking at. Only this little, for those that are not colorblind, this little yellow arrow that I have here. That is what PLM handles. Nothing more, nothing less. So what does that mean? How does PLM handle that product portfolio? It handles portfolio based on the manufacturer part number, the MPN. So what is an MPN? It is a unique ID for that specific vendor that identifies this specific object for sale. So we can have different, let's call it products, but let's call it resources. They can have different types of MPNs. However, what we would suggest is to at least align to a naming convention that I will explain in this section of the deck. We internally, when we build Connect packages, and we do build quite a lot. We're building the Adobe one, we're building the Microsoft one, we're building some others. We try at least to stick to the naming convention that we're going to use in a second. And I will also explain why we try to stick to it. However, the naming convention could be whatever you want it to be. Let's not forget that. If you don't want to stick to that naming convention, it's up to you. There is no repercussion, except for maybe in the future, some kind of reconciliation. What the speaker notes say here is, it says, Cloudblue Connect gives us the flexibility to use MPNs in product items based on how convenient it is for our needs. Ours as in Cloudblue Commerce, but also from the vendor's perspective. So it is up to you how to do it. In order to ensure a conversion, of course, we will suggest a specific naming convention. It makes life easier in the long run. Again, it is a suggestion. So what are we talking about? This is how a product portfolio would look like. And there is a big difference in objects on Connect as opposed to objects in Commerce. And that is why we have that naming convention. And let's try to explain, let me try to explain that difference first. In Connect, we do have a very flat structure. So as you see, you have and let me get a pen out there and get my pen set up here. I forgot about that. I've been running from call to call this morning. Here we have a pen. So we have a laptop basic. So basically, let me hear that. Basically, it means that we have the same device or same type of device. The only difference between those two is the subscription period that we are renting it. This is a laptop for rent. So this is a subscription to using a laptop. The same device with different periods have a different MPN or are different objects in this case. And you see already that we did something here, but it's flat. It's a flat structure. So if on Connect, we want to separate out who bought it for a year and who bought the subscription for a month, we have to have those two objects. Whereas, as you know, in Commerce, we don't have a flat structure. You have one service plan, and with that service plan, I can have multiple subscription periods. It's the same plan. The only thing that I say is, hey, I want to buy this service plan for a month, for 6 months, or for a year. There's one object only. And that is where we need a conversion. So that is why we would call this a flat structure on with MPNs on Connect. Whereas when we look at something similar, not this specific example, but something similar in Cloudblue Commerce, we have an object here where we have a hierarchy. So if I open this product or this object, we have 2 subscription periods. here we are. I don't need to draw it. It was already aligned. And this makes, this would necessitate a conversion, because if we have a flat structure on one side, the system now needs to know, how do I convert a 1 month subscription into the right flat object? How do I convert a 1 year object, a 1 year subscription, to the right object? So that is where that naming convention comes in. And you see here that in this case, we are talking about an E3 license. We have a full MPN there. This is the standard manufacturer part name as Microsoft has it. CFQ7TTC0LF8R. And is that a hyphen or a colon? I think it's a colon, 0001. So how do we convert that? Well, we are doing a conversion under the hood. What we did in Connect, we created that object 3 times with their individual product IDs. So don't forget about these 3, because that's just the internal ID for Connect. But we have the MPNs here. And you might already see similarities. That first part, the CFQ7, etc., until here, up till that underscore, is the same. Then we've got something that says P1Y or P1M. What does that mean? That is the subscription period. I'm going to go through the story again in a second with an animated slide as well. So we have a monthly subscription period, and we do have 2 options for a yearly subscription period. And what's the difference between those 2 yearly subscription periods? We've got annual billing period, so we pay on an annual basis, and we have 2 times got a monthly payment. So when it comes to that subscription, to that object that we just saw in the screenshot from Commerce, here, this one, this is what we're talking about. This one is a monthly billed subscription that you can buy for a month or can buy for a year, right? That is what I see here. So that service plan involves these 2. And as you know, hopefully by now, you cannot create the same service plan with an annual billing method and a monthly billing method, right? Not a billing policy. So what are we doing here? Let me go further. This is the original MPN, as we call it. The original MPN is the MPN that Microsoft gave it. In Connect, we separate those options out now by adding the subscription period. Subscription period, according to ISO 8601, where it says capital P, then a number, and then either a capital D, so many days, a capital M, so many months, or a capital Y, so many years. So this is also how we can easily add, I would almost say, an object for a 3-year subscription. It's just P3Y at the place that is now highlighted. After the subscription period, we get the billing period. So in this case, we're talking about monthly payments. So let me give the rest as well. Monthly, annual, triennial. So if we have a P3Y, it could have a colon triennial. That means that I'm paying everything up front. For 3 years, you subscribe for 3 years, and you pay everything up front for those 3 years. So there are a couple of interesting ones. Then we have a very weird one, the none. What does the none say? The none says, actually, this is a trial subscription. So we don't have a billing frequency. It's just a trial. And in most cases, that also means that for trial, we have a different number there, because a trial subscription in Microsoft terms is a separate SKU. So in most cases, it simply will mean that there is a different number here, and then it's probably has an underscore P1M colon none. That is what we suggest as a naming convention in Connect. In most cases, this is nice to know and is not relevant for most people. However, we know that there are distributors out there, providers, that want to also create their own products. So they are building products in Connect. So if you are doing that, or if you are partly responsible for doing so, start using this naming convention. And what you do here is completely up to you. That could simply be AMX 001, AMX 002, etc., etc. As long as it's unique for you and your vendor account, it works. However, make sure that in Connect, these are according to this standard. It makes life a lot easier, and I will show you a little bit later how come that makes it so much easier. So let's start looking at that portfolio, because now is the story that somebody built something. We have a portfolio in Connect, and we want to import it in Commerce. How do we do that? Well, PLM supports integration with external systems. In this case, the external system is from our friends of Connect. Product portfolio information is obtained automatically by importing the information from CloudBlue Connect. So what do we do? PLM creates a product line. PLM creates the products by importing that. And when it does that, it checks if the MPN of a product item fits that convention. If it doesn't, there's nothing wrong. It will not throw an error. It will just do what I'm going to show you in 2 slides. However, let's say that it matches that convention. So here we have an example, right? We have the same, let's call it SKU, but we have a couple of options here. We've got a monthly subscription that we pay on a monthly basis. We've got a triannual subscription that we pay on a monthly basis, and we've got a triannual subscription that we pay on an annual basis. So when I import this product, what PLM does is it pulls in that information and it strips off every single bit of it, every single bit from anything behind that underscore. I don't like that these are not aligned, because it makes it harder to set that line. Let me redo it. Let's do it a little bit awkward. Okay, there we go. So it strips off that latter part. And what it does, it stores that latter part in its own database. It has its own database that matches the product items in Connect with the subscription and billing periods in Commerce to the appropriate MPN that we need to request from Connect. So if a customer in Commerce, let me go to Commerce first now, buys this product with a subscription period of a month, the system will know that PLM will translate that to a request to this MPN. If the customer buys it for 3 years, he probably has 2 choices. He has a monthly plan where he can select that three years, or he has an annual plan where he selects that 3 years. PLM will translate it accordingly in either this one or that MPN and ask Connect, can you provision this one, this specific MPN? That is why this conversion could come in handy, especially if you have the same product in different capacities. Different capacities as in monthly, because in this look and feel, I could think of more combinations to be there. I could have a P3I with a triannual billing structure. I could have P1Ys with monthly and P1Y with annual subscription, with annual billing frequency. So the same product could be here 5 or 6 times on Connect, where you only have one of those objects in commerce. And of course, you will add it to maybe different plans, but the resource as we see it in commerce will exactly be the same. It will be an E3 license. So that is what PLM, Product Lifecycle Manager, will do. Of course, there could also be a vendor that was there prior to PLM existing, because we invented this naming convention, or we made up this naming convention the moment PLM came in. And we had more, let's say, more need for logic to be set. And if that product still works, I'm not sure about you, but I'm always in the I have the vision, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, right? So if this works, why would you change it? The only thing we want to do is we're not importing this product anymore through the Connect extension, but we are going to move it to PLM and do our provisioning through PLM. So nothing changes. The moment PLM sees a product like this, there is no naming convention. What it does, it will just create the appropriate objects in the commerce database. And that means that there are no internal mappings created in PLM itself. So if a customer buys this one, the system, PLM, will know, okay, I have to just parse that MPN to Connect, and Connect will provision it. But that also means that in commerce, that structure of products of MPNs is a flat one. As flat as it was in Connect. And there are products where that is perfectly fine. So let's not say that we should not do this. It's perfectly fine if that product is as simple as it is. I can imagine that I have a business setup that says, hey, I've got 3 products and I only sell them on a monthly basis. Monthly subscription, monthly billing period. In that case, I don't need a naming convention, right? Of course, if I don't use a naming convention and I'm also locked into, okay, from now on, this is all I need to do. And if in a year or 2, I decide that maybe selling it in an annual subscription period would have been a good idea, I'm almost locked out of that. Of course, we can do it, but I do have a problem there. I see that there is a question. I'm coming to you in a second. Anna Paula, let me first finish the next couple of slides. I think it's 2. So let me finish those, and then I'll come to your question. So what are we doing? We are now looking at the namings between Connect and Commerce. And this is where I would almost say you have to forget what you learned in the previous sessions, because now we're not talking about service plans anymore. Now we're not talking about resource rates anymore. Now we are not talking about service templates anymore. And that, for me at least, that is one of those things that I would have changed if I could go back in time for 5 years and tell our product team this. Because what in Connect is called a product, we call a product line. And the thing is, the product line, you can see in the classic panel as well as a service template. So product lines are service templates. And we've got, and this is what makes it even more, how do I say that without, well, never mind. Let's call it confusing, because in commerce, we also have something, or in PLM, in the PLM, this is commerce, but this actually is the PLM interface. This is not the classic interface. So this is the PLM interface. We have a product in commerce that reflects to a product item. What is a product item? It's a resource. So I would almost say this is a service template. This is a resource. The thing is that in the UI, in the graph, in UX1, we will see product line. We will see product. If you go to classic panel, you won't see product line. You won't see product. Well, you see product, but it's not what you want to see there. Let me go there. So here we are. We've got, because this is operations, sorry, operations. I've got service templates here. These are my product lines. And I can recognize it if it says PRD 8 and whatever. This is a product that comes in from Connect. And this item comes in through, and in this case, there are in-house product configuration options if needed. There are parameters that are required. These are all coming in from the PLM interface. So they are service templates. The same thing, there is an option products here, but when we talk in commerce about products, we will have resources there. And in resources, you don't see where they come from. And what do I mean with that? I don't see whether or not something is coming from a Connect extension, from a native integration, or from a PLM integration. They just have the name of that specific resource. The fact that it says application service reference here means that it probably is either APS or Connect, but I still don't know which of the two, because it still says something. And then we've got some that are what we call in-house products. Those are products that are created in PLM as a manually created one. Let's go to 6. Everything is in-house products here. Okay, cool. Let's toggle back. So that is the reference naming scenario. So what are we trying to do? PLM aligns portfolios by merging several Connect products, product items, I should say, into, oh, sorry, that was too fast, into one commerce product during that import of that portfolio. When does it import that? Only if the convention is used. In all other cases, we have 3 items in Connect. We will have 3 items in Commerce. So if you don't use that naming convention, it will not merge. Okay. Who had a question? Ana Paula, tell me.
Just it's in the chat. There is a question from me and there's a question from Claudio.
Okay, thank you. Let's go. Let's first do yours. In BA, Business Automation, each resource in a plan has an ID, and each resource period in a plan also has its own ID. But if we have only one PLM object for the resource, under the hood, the resource IDs in billing automation, whether they are bound to a subscription period or not. These are only for use in commerce. These are not related to anything in Connect. What happens is commerce decides that, hey, we need this specific resource. Billing handles the payments. Then billing hands it over to operations, and operations does not have those individual IDs because they only have the unique ID that these resources received when they were imported, and those IDs will match in that PLM database a specific mapping group
or mapping group that is going to provide the service.
Yes.
And then it means that in BA, what happens is that the ID from PLM is in BA, right? So that BA can tell, okay, I need this. This is what
they're
I'm
not
providing.
in BA. They're not in BA.
How
are
is
in operations.
The integration occurs and they are in operations. They are in OA.
They're in operations. Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
because operations is still responsible for provisioning. So the only thing it does is it receives a request to provision and
calls
looks, where does it come from?
Did.
Yeah. Oh, this comes from PLM. Hands it to PLM. PLM handles it further. That's how what the function of operations is. But it's still handled by operations. And as you know, in operations, the IDs of let's say an enterprise E5.
Yes, it's unique. It's unique.
It's there's only one, and of course the individual ones in billing will reflect to that single ID. Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, perfect. Question from Claudio. So you configure the product plan inside Connect and import it to CBC? No, you configure the product itself with all the resources in Connect. You import the product into Cloud WooCommerce, and PLM, as I said, during that import only creates the service template and the resources itself. So first the resources and then the service template. That means that I will have to have a secondary step to create the plans. That will also happen in PLM, but it's a separate step. Does that answer your question, Claudio? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. I have another one.
Go ahead.
So we are using the spreadsheet to import the products and whatever from Microsoft. The question is sometimes we need just to change a little thing, in one.
I will talk about that spreadsheet at the end of this module. So keep that question, write it down. Because I'm going to cover that product, that Excel sheet at the end of the
Excel sheet. It's not. This is not the question. It's about can I change without the spreadsheet? The information.
Nope. No, that's the downside.
Sometimes because sometimes it's just a small thing. You know what I mean? And then I have to import the whole.
I realize it. I realize that. No, that's the biggest thing. PLM only supports this. Well, you can disable and enable plans in Classic Panel, but any other change is not possible. If you go to a plan that has been created through PLM, through the spreadsheet, and you go to the Classic Panel and you open that plan, you will see that it says, hey, this is a plan is created by PLM. Go to UX1 PLM and do it there. But yeah, that's one of the downsides that we have at this moment. We have two mechanisms to manipulate those plans, and anything created in the Classic Panel can only be manipulated in the Classic Panel. Anything created in PLM can only be manipulated in PLM as well.
Yeah, but even in PLM, there should be an option to edit something simple. Let's say I messed up and I put I don't know, 1 month, and it should be 3 months. I don't know. Then I have 700 resources, and I have to process all the 700 just to change the. You know what I mean? It's a little bit stupid to have to, not stupid, sorry. A little bit.
Did you ever look at this? Did you ever look at this? If you go to products in PLM, in portfolio, And there is a plans tab. And if I go in here.
Yeah, I don't have this tab.
Okay, so that might be the issue. Let me see if my resellers have this, because this is a provider thing. Come on.
I'm a provider. I am a provider. And maybe
So
it's a
this-
permission thing. Maybe it's
This
a
is not a
permission thing.
okay, in that case, it's not a permission thing. It could be a version thing.
Okay.
And that could be a version of PLM itself.
Oh, got it.
Or it could be a version where you have to wait for version 21 to be upgraded to something that has this feature. Because
Got it.
we have thought about this. And as you see, I can change subscription
Yeah.
periods. I can even add periods here.
Yeah, I can do this now. I have to use the spreadsheet all the time.
Yeah.
That's what it's bugging me right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. But it might
Yeah.
be that after the upgrade to version 21, it will be there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Another question, are you going to overview how the integration works? The thing is that that's not even a theme for another training, because the integration is set up once and that's it. We have APIs on the Connect side, and PLM just uses those APIs using the authentication mechanism we have under the hood, which is token based, and that's about it. So PLM works based on the fact that Connect has its own set of APIs that can use tokenized authentication. So we set up the connector. Eventually, okay. But what if we want to use Connect to integrate to our providers? That is the Connect for end users training. So there is a training for that. That is, let me pull up my thingy here. Let's pull up the schedule. This is the schedule that I have for you, and that Connect for end users will start for you on Monday, the 8th of April. So if you have not subscribed to that one, the Connect end user will talk about the scenarios that we have. So if you haven't received an invite for this one, talk to the person managing it, and he will come back to me, and I will send you an invite for that one. Okay. So for the rest, let me go back to the deck. Where am I? Here I am. So that merge, of course, on PLM side also means that if a customer wants a very specific object and he buys it in Connect, in Commerce, what will happen is PLM splits that one component back into the several Connect product items and then picks the proper item for a fulfillment request. Basically, what happens in PLM is PLM has that internal mapping database, and it will see, okay, I've got this base MPN. We call it the base MPN. And this customer wants it for 3 months, and it is a monthly build object. So we need, let's say, this specific item, and we request for provisioning to connect this specific item. Picking up that part again. So the manufacturer part number in Connect is fairly simple. What do you need? If you use the naming convention, the first part will be the MPN that we see in Commerce, because that is the part that is also actually reflected in Commerce. And anything below that is, from a Commerce perspective, not relevant, because PLM will take care of that part. If it does not match the naming convention, it's fairly simple. We have 3 individual manufacturer part numbers, and they are just passed through to Connect. Nothing changes there. So this is how we see that. I already showed you that in the UI. in this case, we have the base MPN here. We have a subscription period of a month. So we are doing this one. Why do we do this one? Because that is the marker that the subscription period mandates. And of course, eventually, that comes with a price. So this is the import. All this happens when you import a new product from Connect using Product Lifecycle Manager. So how do you create your plans then? Well, we're using a file for that. And we use, let's say, the standard enterprise management tool for that. We call it Excel. As you might know, and probably it is with you the same as it is with us, 90% of enterprises are managed through Excel files that live everywhere and that are managed by 2 or 3 people. This one, the same thing. This import of a pre-configured Excel file needs to be done by the owner of the platform. The first thing that I always want to answer here is, who should create those files, that Excel file? The person creating that Excel file, the PPR file or platform product requirement file, PPR, product platform requirement file, should be created by the person that also created the product in Connect, because that product has been created by that person with a specific thought in mind. These are the plans that we're going to create. In that plan, we require these resources, and we only sell those plans with these subscription periods, etc., etc. So eventually, the PPR file should come from either the vendor or from one of our product managers. The product managers in Cloud Blue are charged with keeping those PPR files up to date, at least for all the products that we created. So for Microsoft, we have a person that manages that PPR file. We have a person that manages the product itself, maintains the product for the fact that Microsoft adds SKUs. So that is how to get that PPR file. If you build your own in-house product, and you can do that with or without integration. You can build it in Connect. You can also build an in-house product in Commerce. The downside of an in-house product in Commerce is that you do not, I would almost say, you don't have the possibility to later integrate it. If you create a manual product in Connect, you can start selling right away and then slowly work on the automation of that provisioning part. So I would always go for Connect if I would have to create a new product that is in-house. But PLM automates the configuration by importing an Excel file. And that means that those plans are created according to the Excel input with PPR of the PP requirements, product platform requirements. So how would that file look? There is a link, and let me go back. Why does it not want to go back? Let me first do this. Where is my browser? Here we are. Add a tab. Go here. So we have our file description with the structure, the resources, service plans, all the tabs that are required, which is fun. But we've heard that A, this is not completely up to date. B, it's not always clear what is required, what is not required. So let's go back to the slide deck, because now we have a slide that shows me what are the mandatory tabs. At least for every single product, I need 4 tabs. The resources tab, the service plans tab, the plan periods tab, and the resource rates tab. So what are we talking about? We're talking about which resources do belong to this specific product portfolio. Let's call it product portfolio, because now product is already living at 3-4 different levels. Let's call it a product portfolio. And in that case, I'm talking about Office 365 as a product portfolio. Acronis is a product portfolio. So we have at least 4 tabs that are required to generate that product portfolio. The resources that are for this available for this product portfolio. Then we're going to build the service plans. Which plans do we generate? With description, maybe, etc., etc. Then for each of those service plans, what are the plan periods that are available? So are we selling this everything only for a month, or do we have plans that are available a month and a year and 3 years, etc.? And then, of course, in that service plan, we're not just setting up the resources, but also how many do we have? So that is the resource rates tab. Those are the mandatory items. And let me see if I can quickly find, because I forgot to open that one, an example of a Here we are. I've got a file here, a PPR file, where I have my resources. And let me now do something that people would say, hey, you should do that in the in the Connect end user training. I'm going to also do it there, but I'm going to show you my product that I have created this PPR file for. So I call it managed services. It was a little bit of a fake service so that I could demonstrate importing and stuff like that. So we have a product, demo product created by blah, blah, blah. I see there is a typo in there. And in that product, I've got 2 items. I've got a standard services and I've got a gold services. And both have a year commitment, which is a yearly subscription period with a monthly subscription. Okay. So now let's match this. So as you see, I've got those gold services, standard services in the resources tab. What do I do here? First of all, is I set the unit of measure. How is this sold? In this case, it's licenses. I set the vendor of this one. That's a column that should be there. I also set the MPN. And as you see, I have not done this according to the MPN standard. Why not? Because I created this one before, before PLM existed. I built this one initially for demonstrations with Connect extension. But you see my MPNs here, standard and gold. And the description. Where does it get that subscription? It gets it from Connect. So this is the gold subscription with an SLA of 2 hours. And there it is. That's gold. And the same thing can be found with the standard offering with an SLA, as you see. Here we have it. This is the standard offering with an SLA of 24 hours. So those are the resources. Then we have the tab. Where are we? Here we are. We have the tab service plans. So we have a tab service plans. Here it is. And we see I'm creating 3 service plans with this item. with this thing. We've got the name in English, and actually this is better. I made a split here in the screen. I can set the plan category. I can set the service terms in here. If needed, I can set a vendor time zone. I can set descriptions in English, as you see here. If I do description underscore ES, it will be in Spanish. If I do I'm not sure if it is BR or PT, I think it's PT, it will be Portuguese for Brazil. If we want to send out notifications.
So yeah. I need to change the name of the field, no. Is that it?
No, you have to add a column with that one.
Oh, I have the English one, then I have to add another column with the PT name.
Yes, yeah. And whatever language you want to add. And I would go for the languages that your platform supports. So if your platform only supports Brazilian and English, English is there by default. So that's why I would say leave English in. But your platform probably supports Brazilian and English, Portuguese, but maybe also Spanish. So add another column that says ES.
Or PT in our case, or PR.
Well, I would at least do PT, Portuguese, but I can imagine that in Brazil, you might have some people that prefer Spanish. I'm not sure, but in that case, I would add a third column, description underscore ES.
Okay, I'm asking this because we have an issue right now, because when we are loading the PPR, we are only having the English description. Then when we open it in Portuguese, everything is blank.
Yep. And it's fairly simple. It doesn't matter where it is. I can do it at the back completely here. As long as I have description underscore ES, it will do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And there are more scenarios where that might be of. So I'm going to give you a couple of other pointers where that might come in handy. We've got our welcome notifications if needed. If we have an expiration notification, I can set it. And here we have our billing period and the duration and the price. How do we charge? So basically, these three columns are the billing terms. Is this per billing period, the price is and what is that billing period? In this case, it's all a single month. Do we align, yes or no? The new day of statement. What is the day that we charge this plan? In this case, we are aligning it with the statement day, and the day of the statement is the first of the month. A couple of other things. The recurring type. How do we charge? Do we do it charge before billing period or charge before subscription period? Do we do auto renew? If so, how? Last statement day or before expiration or none? In this case, we do it 3 days before expiration. In most cases, at this moment, we do want this to be processed by the new rating engine. Why do we want that? Because the new rating engine also supports the policies that we're going to talk about when we are discussing the non-mandatory tabs, like the policy of Microsoft, the cancellation policy, for instance, or the downsize policies that Microsoft now has created recently. And then we can add multiple sales categories. Sales category 1, sales category 2, sales category 3. These are the sales categories that this plan is positioned in right from the start. And we are setting upgrade paths. _1, _2, again, as many as you need. If you upgrade, what happens? What is the new start date? We discussed that. When was it? Yesterday? Day before? Day before. And if we want to delegate this to our opcos or to our resellers, we do that through the reseller template that we have. And the reseller template, of course, for that specific group of resellers that you want to delegate this to. And again, we can do as many as we want. You might want to do this to all resellers. In that case, you have to register all reseller templates in this list. So there might always be work to be done, even though you're handed most of it. Why? Because the reseller groups might be needed to be set, because we don't know what your reseller templates are, etc., etc. We have our plan periods. I see your hand. I'm coming to you after I've done the demo with the mandatory tabs. I've got those 3 service plans. They both show up twice because they all 3 have 2 subscription periods, plan periods or subscription periods. No cancellation. Do we have a full refund period? Yes or no? After the full refund period is 2 days. After that refund period, there is no. And is it a trial? Yes or no? In this case, only the standard for a monthly one is a trial subscription. The content of these tabs and these items, of course, are showing in this documentation setup. So if I go in here, I can see whether I can make changes later. I can see descriptions, and here, this is, Ana Paula, where I had, or where you can find that information. For example, DE, FR, or IT. In your case, I think it's probably PT, and if needed for Spanish, do an ES. And there will be a description in English as well. The same thing, by the way, for the name. I did not include that one. If the name needs to be the same, it doesn't matter, because in that case, you could just leave in the name _en. But if you want to also translate the service plan names, you can do that by putting the same thing in there, name _PT, name _ES. All that information we have in this link. And the last one is the resource rates. So in the resource rates, you will find which resources, the ones that I've defined here, are in which plan. So we have the service plan, and we have the resource. We have the service plan, we have the resource, and we have the service plan, and in this case, we have the resources, where we set a minimum units and a maximum units. We don't set an included units anymore. So there's a big change there. What we do for the rest is the configuration of these items. So that is the minimum setup you need to have in your products platform requirements file. I never remember that that full name. It's a PPR file for me. So every time you see me thinking, I'm thinking about what did PPR stand for again. Ana Paula, tell me.
Again in the chat.
Refund period
quite a
is,
few.
yeah, basically, I'm starting with the second one.
If the
what we're
unit is
doing-
always days, if it's always
Yeah,
days.
let's be honest. I mean, what we do is, instead of fill it manually using the UI,
Yeah.
let me go to subscription periods. Where is it? Here. Instead of filling the UI manually, we're now doing it through an Excel file. So the refund period is basically this field in the UI. Do we have a document or something with the possibilities for the languages? That's a good one. I'm not sure if we really have described that somewhere. Let me verify. Structure requirements, maybe. Optional. Always good to see that is there. I think what we use is ISO standards. So NL for Dutch, EN for English, PT for Portuguese, etc.
Yeah, then Brazilian Portuguese would be BR, not PT.
Okay, yeah, that's why I said I didn't know for sure if it was BR or PT.
Yeah. It's just that the thing is, we have the PT one in our spreadsheet, and it's still not appearing. It's still
try
not
a
loading.
BR there. Try a BR there.
It's probably that, right? It should be BR instead of PT. Yeah. Okay.
And then what is a reseller template? A reseller
you said the reseller template. I was like, what the frick is this?
A reseller template is that service template that you create in billing
for the reseller.
Reseller management. That delegates the. Let me go back to service templates here. That delegates plans to a specific environment. So a reseller template here. This is not the correct one. This is a reseller branding. I want a reseller. Let's do that. Here we are, EU. So we're talking about this reseller template that is built on top of reseller gate, where we delegate the plan. So basically what we're doing with that column is we are inserting all these plans that need to be delegated to specific resources, to specific resellers, into the reseller template in this tab, so that, and we do a sync with that, so that the new reseller will now have the reseller, the to be resold plans available. For this, we have a reseller management training, but basically the reseller template is a template that allows a reseller to be, or actually a customer to become a reseller. If you onboard a new reseller, there's no button new reseller. Let's go there. There is no button add a reseller. I can search for resellers, but I cannot create a new one. What I always do is I upgrade a customer to become a reseller. And I do that by selling him a plan that is based on what we call a reseller template.
Got it. Do you have this kind of information in the admin and the administration course trainment?
Let me quickly check if it's part of that or that I should add it. Yeah, it's part of the admin training. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's important for us. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? You need to know something from the admin training to do this part, but this is more of end user. So everything is interconnected. Everybody needs to know everything. Okay, let me go back to my slides. So these are the mandatory items, and they're going to give me a couple of screenshots, or only one actually. And then we have a lot of optional tabs, and optional is not always optional, and that sounds crazy. You see a lot of those here, but what is important is that these two for NCE are now mandatory, have become mandatory, because Microsoft is now requiring or is demanding specific policies for cancellation or for downsize. And that is a tricky one, but we need those two policies as well. I'm going to discuss them in a second, but I first want to talk about those downsize policies, and then I'm going to show you how they are implemented. But let me go to the spreadsheet first. Where is it? Or did I close it? No, I didn't. I hope. No, there we are. Here we have it. What we can do is we can add sales categories here. And here you see, by the way, this one worked. So I'm not sure if it should be underscore PT or if it should be underscore BR. I never used a platform that has Portuguese on it, but this is how those names look like. We've got the name of the sales category in English here. We've got it in German. We've got it in Spanish. We've got it in French, Italian, Dutch, Portuguese, Turkish. And then we can even do the same thing with all the descriptions of that sales category. if I put a service plan, where are we? Sales category 1, here we are. If we put something in this column, in a column, it needs to be in the sales categories option as well. Especially if you want to, with this product, create new sales categories. So if you have a new product, you probably want to generate new sales categories as well. Make sure they are, in this case, enabled by creating them in the tab sales categories. The same thing for resource categories, because resources also need to be categorized. We can create notification templates if we want to, for the service plans to be used. I did not do it in my example, but I'm talking about these two columns. And I can pre-create them here with the template name, the language, the message type, the category. Remember what we all talked about in the last module of last Monday, those notifications with all the parameters in there. You see, you can create a full template using a spreadsheet. PDF, from name, conditions, viable to, and then you have this little field to put in the entire HTML of that message. And the same thing for plain text. You can do it. That doesn't mean you need to do it. This is not a mandatory field. The only thing is you have to edit this later in PLM. What more do we have? We have the op units, service plans. So if you have operational units like opcos, you can also delegate through those reseller groups those plans. I'm going to show that in a slide later. And there are more items. There is a tab possible for terms and conditions. Oh, that's one too far. There is a tab possible for terms and conditions. There is a tab possible for resource dependencies. There is a tab possible for upgrade resource mappings. So if you upgrade this plan to that plan, these resources should become that, and these resources should become that. All those things are possible to configure. In most cases, this is, of course, something that is set by, again, the person that created the product in Connect in the first place. And then there are more changes coming. This is an old part, but what is more important at this moment is that Microsoft wants to get longer commitments with their products. That means that for the purchase licenses, we want to have a 12-month term associated with them, which can be paid up front or monthly, but that cannot be just canceled whenever they want. And that is the key thing when it comes to the business model change from Microsoft. Because prior to this, under CSP, under the CSP model, a customer could buy something and a month later, buy something for a year because it might have been cheaper, and a month later they could cancel. That is no longer true. So the key change is pushing for those long-term contracts. In the NCE model, for 7 days after purchase, you can scale down your business licenses within the following framework. The first day, the first 24 hours since the start date, all these references that you will see here are since the start date. The first 24 hours, you get a full refund. So I purchased something, I test it, this is not what I want, I cancel it again, I get all my money back. Then, in the next 6 days, the 7 is because it refers to here. So this is 7 days. That means that this part is 6 days. You get a prorated refund. And after that, you cannot cancel or downsize anymore. We have to implement a new policy for that. We also had to adjust our engine that does the billing, because our default billing engine that we had in billing automation did not support this. We always build a platform where if a customer cancels before it, he either gets a no refund, because that is the setting on the product, or he gets a prorated refund. That's it. Now we had to do extra things. We have to measure how long ago was it since he bought it. Okay, he can get a prorated one, or no, he's not allowed to that backup anymore. That means that you have to assign Microsoft policies in that Excel sheet, service plans, that, where is it? Where's the column? Here, this one, that it should be processed by the rating engine. So if it says processed by rating engine true, don't change it, because you will circumvent all the policies and you might get a penalty from Microsoft. But technically, it is possible. You don't want it, but it is possible. So what we are setting now, we're creating policies that look like this. Cancellation or downsize is allowed with a full refund for so many days. Cancellation is allowed with a prorated refund within 7 days. And cancellation is prohibited the rest of the period. So that is the scenario that we're looking at now. You can see those items in the policies tab. Where is it? I think I have it here. Here we have the policies tab, where we see what the policies are. And they even have something for what they call the first subscription period and any subsequent subscription period. So first year, any follow-up year. We have a downsize policy. We have a cancellation policy. Again, first subscription period, subsequent. For the 1 month subscription and for the 1 year subscription. You see that? And anything after that is not possible. In this case, it's even mentioned explicitly. So we have a downsize policy, we've got a cancellation policy. So how do you set this one up? I don't have an example in a spreadsheet for this one, but I do have a pretty good screenshot. So there are 2 tabs that you need: cancellation policies and downsize policies. What you need to do first to get this working is, of course, make sure that the process by rating engine, as I said before, is enabled, and then we will use those policies in our setup. This is what it looks like. We've got the action in column E, and we've got the action period in column F. And we see in column H where that is applicable to. And this is that story about we have a policy for the first subscription period, and we have a policy for any subsequent ones. We see that there are different items here. We've got billing periods, or sorry, subscription period, monthlies, and we've got subscription periods 1 year with monthlies and 1 year with annual. So that's why we have those 3 main colors, let's say. So anything in this reddish, orangish scenario is all about the monthly subscription that has a monthly payment. And the first one is the action period is 1 day. And you would get a full refund within the first day. This one is from, let's say, our first iteration, where Microsoft even assumed that it would be a good idea to have a prorated refund only in the first 3 days. I'm glad they changed that to 7. But nowadays, this one would be 7. This one would be 7, etc., etc. But for the first subscription period, they get a prorated refund during the first 7 days of that subscription. First, as in from the start date again, right? And then we have prohibited for the rest of that period. And the rest of that period is, of course, until the renewal. And with a monthly subscription, that simply means that for, well, what is it, 3.5 weeks or something like that, you cannot cancel. For a monthly subscription, that is not a big deal. For an annual subscription, it might be a big deal. But this is how you set it up. Applicable to the first or applicable to the next subscription periods. And we have the same set of values here. And there are a couple of things. The action period time zone. So if we measure 24 hours, whose 24 hours are we talking about? Or whose 1 day are we talking about? Well, there could be something different when it comes to the time zone of where the platform is living as opposed to where the customer is living. So that is where this comes from. This is, by the way, optional. If the time zone is not set, PLM will automatically fill it in with the Cloud WooCommerce instance time zone. So a user shall be able to change the time zone until a subscription is created for a plan. A user shall be able to change the time zone for existing plans via file import. User as in you. The user will also be able to set the time zone in a format that is not affected by daylight savings time. It's either a plan, which is the platform time zone, or the customer's time zone. Those are the two options there. And when we look at cancellation policies, there's, as you see, also a tab for downsize policies that looks exactly the same. And as I said before, this will only work if you process this by the rating engine. I've been talking about 1 hour and 45 minutes. Before we go into a short break, I see there's a hand up from Gustavo. Tell me, Gustavo.
Yes, we have seen some kind of issues because this product is configured with using the rating engine. And because of that, we have seen that it is not working as we would like when we change the condition of the service, as we make it a downgrade or something like that, because it changes the prices from the past and make a reimbursement to the customer. So I don't know if why it is configured in that way. I'm sorry, I'm not a technical guy, but the people from the IT team are not attending the meeting now. And I would like to know if there is some other way to configure this to avoid this way.
The thing is that this way of setting up plans with the PPR file, etc., should never interfere with pricing. Why do I say that? Because PLM is not responsible for pricing. If there is something happening with price configuration, the only thing I can imagine is that there is a hiccup in the price manager management. Because what I create here in this specific way of doing it, I create plans and resource rates that are all zero price. In none of those tabs, we see a price available. After I've done this, the next step, what you need to do to get this working is, or to get the full configuration of your objects, is you have to go to prices and export the Microsoft portfolio, add the prices there, or use a pre-existing file and import those prices back in. And after that, the prices are set. If I only use the PPR file, prices are not touched. So if that happens, there is some kind of bug in the system. Make sure you verify that and maybe report it as an issue to our support team, because the moment I'm using PPR, I should not touch any prices. So prices should stay the same.
But the thing is that when we make when we update the prices for the service, because we have a devaluation here in Argentina and the prices are in pesos.
Yeah.
When we change the monthly cost for our customers, the system, because of the because it is an yearly subscription,
Yeah.
it updates all the monthly payment that were made and wants to charge for the customer for the difference between the amount,
the current price and what they paid so far.
Yes, and we have made the ticket to Cloud Blue reporting the issue, and the response was that it was the right behavior of the rating engine. So my doubt is if it is another way to configure the service without using a rating engine.
From my perspective and from our configuration, the rating engine is only necessary for setting up those policies. So you could circumvent other products by not using the rating engine and use the internal engine. However, the moment a vendor or a product is starting to use cancellation policies and downsize policies, you need that rating engine, and that means that you would have this. I'm not entirely sure what they mean with this is the expected behavior, because to be honest, for me, it is not expected behavior. Do you have a TAM? Technical account manager?
Yes. But we haven't received any answer about this issue.
In that case, I would do this through your technical account manager,
Okay.
and because for me that is not expected behavior, and if it is expected behavior, they would have to explain it to me too. Why because we change a price today. Why we have to charge a customer retrospectively for anything that he paid this year. That is not, for me at least, as a customer, I would not find that acceptable behavior.
Okay.
Let me see, there's something in the chat. Okay, I've handled those chat things. I see another hand up. Ana Paula.
Yay, it's me again.
Go ahead.
Regarding the price thing, the price update, a question. When you upload the prices, it only changes the prices in the resources and plans, right? If I wanted to
not
be
even the
applied
plans
to
itself, it only changes the resource
the
pricing.
resources. Okay. So if I want it to be reflect on the subscriptions, I need to do the usual synchronizing stuff, right? On VA.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. That's
Okay.
a simple question.
All right. So you've been listening to me for quite some time. Let's take a short pause. Let's be back at 5 past the hour. That gives you 12 minutes to get some coffee, sanitary stops, etc., etc. I will leave the recording running because I don't want to break this one up into two because it's a single module. So let's be back at 5 past the hour. Okay, I am back. Can I get a thumbs up for those that are back, please? I see thumbs up. Super, thank you very much. All right, let's continue. So we have set up the products, we have set up the policies. What are we going to do next? We're going to maintain those products. We're going to share them with our resellers. We're going to make sure that our operational units, opcos, are able to sell those products. Because without the first set, we cannot do anything. And maybe that is the necessity. Oh, I'm going to quickly stop and switch on my and switch off my VPN because it told me that it's going to So I am back, hopefully, and hopefully you're still seeing my screen. Why did I do that? Because my demo environment is behind the VPN. I don't need VPN for anything else, but if I want to do demonstrations, I need to have that VPN set up. Okay. So maybe that is the correct way of doing it. You create your plans using the PPR file. You're not sharing them yet. Then you use that price manager feature, setting the prices for at least your layer of scenarios. Then you put in to these columns what is needed, where do I share it with, who do I share it with, and then we import the file again. That is how I would do it to prevent, let's say, sales of free products, because like I said, the PPR file and PLM are not responsible for setting prices. The PPR file creates the products with all the resource rates in it, and they're free. Is it a possibility to create those plans and share them straight away while they're disabled? No, because in that case, the price manager will not pick up those resource rates as being empty or as having a zero price, and you can export them and fill it. So you have to have an enabled product. So maybe not share it, add the pricing to it, and then share it. Afterwards, of course, the reseller still needs to be able to share those prices and set their own retail pricing. What was the biggest problem? One of the that we had in the Connect extension, why we created PLM. Well, one of the key things is to manage the full life cycle, because with the Connect extension, we could create through a wizard, if only one by one, those plans. But what we want is we want to update the portfolio in one click through PLM import from Connect. We all know now that what we wanted is not a one-click thing, has not become a one-click thing. Why? It's simple, because you do the import first, then you have the PPR file that you have to manage, add maybe different language descriptions, add the appropriate reseller templates, etc., and then you have to import it. And after you've imported it, you still have to set the pricing, but at least it beats going into every single of those 700 plus service plans through a wizard where you have to set the prices of the same resource rate over and over and over and over again. So there are advantages of using PLM and the price manager. So what we're going to look at now is we want to maintain our plans, and we want to be able to easily withdraw specific products or plans. And we're basically looking at something like this, right? Maybe you have traveled around and you're on Netflix and you have scheduled, or you thought that, hey, this movie that I wanted to watch for some longer time, I saw that it's on Netflix when I was at home, so now I'm traveling. Now I have the time to do that in the evening. I want to start watching that video, and it gives you this option. Same thing can happen with cloud services, right? It could be that specific geographies are excluded from, let's say, from a portfolio by Microsoft or whatever. So if you would sell in those geographies and you would have all the products set up because you are in a geography where it is possible to sell it, but you have a reseller or an operating unit that does not allow it, guess what? You have to somehow disable those plans. So one of the things to delegate to your own operating units, is make sure that the op unit and then underscore country code column is added to service plans with true for each plan to be delegated. So what are we talking about? We're talking about this one. There is a service plan item, and then we've got the op unit underscore something, op unit underscore something, true. You see that these plans are not sold in France and not sold in Germany, but they're sold in Laos, the Netherlands, and the UK. So where does the system get that information? Because it's funny, it's good to say that, but you have somewhere in that operating unit, there has to be a specification what the op unit code is for this one. I'm going to show you that in a second. Let me go to my item here, and let's take the classic panel for now. We have our resellers, hoping that I'm still logged in. Yep. Going to billing. And I go to resellers. Where are they? They're all resellers. These are the direct resellers. No, let's do it in all. I always need to figure out where they are. This is a item, general. No, it is. Let me copy that ID. Resellers. There we have it. So this is the item, and under additional information, this is the additional info that we need to create. So this one, init wizard country code, reflects this column. So for a demonstration purposes, there could also be a init wizard country code LA. There could be an init wizard country code UK, etc., etc. These are things that are not bound to the ISO country code. You can use anything. You can even do regions if you want to. But that NL is this NL. And it's using this additional information. You have to make sure that that one is filled for your operational units. or your opcos. Of course, next to my operating units, I also have the direct resellers. So now we're not looking at those countries that are part of my own organization, but I'm now configuring, let's say, the direct resellers or my direct competitors that are on my same platform. For PLM, those are two different things. Operating units is one thing. It looks at that init wizard country code and delegates accordingly. It will just move those items in there. For the direct resellers, we're not looking at specific resellers. We're not delegating to individual resellers, but we delegate, as we saw before, because there was a question about it, to what we call the reseller group name. And the reseller group name is the name of that reseller gate service template, or that service template that was created for this specific set of resellers to delegate plans to those direct resellers. In operations, you cannot find that. So this is a classic panel thing where we do this in billing. You can find it out by going to the to the service templates tab in this one and search for service name reseller or reseller management. Those are all the reseller templates that are available. Those are created when the platform was created. Going in here, I can see what the delegated plans are. And if I add plans to this, you will, by using this, I would almost say trick or this feature from PLM, I will see those plans appear on this item here as well. So we're using the reseller group name one. We can delegate to multiple groups by just using the same name, reseller group name, and then an _2, _3, etc., etc. Is there a limit to that? Not as far as I know. In the service plans tab, you find this item. Ana Paula, tell me.
It's related, but not much. A question. Let's say I have a reseller and the prices for my reseller are different from my prices. But then you say that when I have a reseller, I delegate the plan I already have to this reseller. So I cannot set a different price, right?
No, the reseller has to do that. The reseller can use his price management feature for that.
Oh, okay. So I need to log into as a reseller and then I reset the price in the price management tab.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So each reseller can set his own prices using that price management feature.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. Of course, when you are working with operating units, your operating units could have specific resellers as well. In that case, there is a tab. Let me see if I have it in my example. Op unit service plans. Here we are. And maybe this is not the best example because there is nothing in there. At this level, L0, I can now set to which indirect resellers I am selling or delegating these items. Let me not do that. Let's go to spreadsheet. How do you do that? Again, using that reseller group name column, only not in the service plans tab, but in the tab op unit service plan. So it looks something like, why am I trying to do that? It looks something like this. So for the operational unit US, and you have to, of course, specify in which operating unit do I search for this reseller group. where do I search for this name? It is in the operating unit US. We have these plans, and you have to delegate them. Oh, that was too fast. And you have to delegate them via this service template. A lot to take in, but you can prepare your entire platform in that same Excel file, even before those plans exist. You can go through all the tabs, set up everything where some of these things, resource rates, policies, terms and conditions maybe, but service plans, plan periods, etc., are filled out. And after that, you can make sure, okay, this plan has to go here, here, and here. This plan has to go there, there, and there. At that point, you import it, and the whole new product has been not only set up at provider level, but also has been delegated to all the operating units that are that are required. They're all delegated to competing resellers, and they are also maybe even delegated to level 2 resellers that are under your operating unit, making life a lot easier, making it a very powerful tool. The only problem is it's the Excel sheet that becomes huge, and I would not say unmanageable, but it's not the friendliest way of doing it. But it is a faster way than going through a wizard first to create all those plans, then having to go into a reseller template and delegating them there, and then synchronize, etc., etc., etc. So there's a lot also that is saved by going into the Excel sheet, especially when you consider that that PPR file for most products will be handed to you by product management. So the person that created the Connect product or our product manager, and you only have to do part of the work. So what happens to receive updates from CloudBlue Connect? What are you going to do? In UX 1 for providers, you import a new product version first, because that is what you might see. Hey, there is a new version. You heard from Microsoft that they are adding extra SKUs. So that means that they have to create it in Connect first. Then that product has to be published. That means that somebody's going to import the new file, update the existing product in PLM, and then you can update the PPR file. So first you have to do the new product from Connect, then you get the new version with plan updates from the product service manager, maybe edit what needs to be edited, and then you import it. Again, with the new version of the Excel file. In case of in-house products, so if you create your own in-house product in PLM itself, not in Connect, you have to create your own Excel file, or at least update that new Excel file. Why do I say update? Because in Product Lifecycle Manager, let me go to UX 1 again. In Portfolio, in the Product Lines tab, let me see, I should be able to export. There's a lot of information there. Description, manage overage, marketing materials is not that interesting. Where do I do that by nowadays? Let me zoom out. Here we can upload localizations. I thought there was another option. Here we are. I have an issue. Oh, there we are. This is what I was looking for. I can export the products and plans. If I go for Office 365 commercial and I export that, the system will generate an Excel file, exported catalog. Let me put it on the desktop and open it. Do you want to replace it? Yeah, do that. Not sure what the other contains. Let me go to my desktop and say exported catalog. There we are, opening the Excel file. Let's see. Here we have our file, and you see that we have the structure requirements. So basically the tabs that I see here are the tabs that are described in our documentation of the Excel file. So we have the sheets. Which sheets? The structure requirements. Guess what? That's the one that I'm now at. I've got a service plans. Those are the service plans that are created already. If there are no plans created, this tab will not be there, but the resources will always be there. All the resources in there. I can see the plan periods. Again, if I did not have plans, there will not be plan periods. So we will have an empty tab or a non-existing tab. For the rest, policies, downsize policies, resource rates, everything would depend on what has been created. If I just imported a product and I export it, what I will see is I will see the resources and the structure requirements tabs, and anything else you have to create manually. In this case, everything is there, so I can have my own export and play around with it. We've got some maximum units here, minimum units, etc. So you can even create your own PPR file if you want to, or you can use the PPR file that comes from our product management or somebody else's product management. That's where that Excel file must be updated manually comes from. You can update it manually. Importing this, of course, will be propagated to anything that is there, either to the operating units, to the L1 resellers, or to indirect resellers immediately. I see your hands up. Tell me.
In the chat.
When you import a product
here
from Connect, is it visible in operation? It is visible in operations. Let's find an example quickly.
I mean, even without the plan, right? It's visible there. It's just there hanging, right?
Yeah, we have a product here called Dataverse, whatever. So let me search for this one. So I copied that option. If I go to operations, and let's go for 0 again. I go to resources, and I'm going to search for this one. There we are. In this case, we're talking about this item. So it is visible here.
It's there doing nothing. It's not hanging attached to any plans, but it's there available for using,
it's even
right?
bound to a service template. This service template is the one that we find as a product line in PLM. So it is there. However, it is not usable here.
Got it.
But it needs to be there because if an order comes in for this specific resource from billing to provision, operations needs to know that this is specifically for Connect through PLM, and all that information is in the background available. It hands it to PLM. PLM figures out, where do I go with this? Oh, I need to go to Connect itself. Hands it to Connect. Connect handles it further. That is why it's still here. It's not like it doesn't do anything. It needs to be there for operations to know about.
Actually.
Sorry?
It was not exactly what I wanted to know. The thing is that, like, when I import from Connect, right? I import a resource or a product item from Connect into PLM.
Yeah.
It could be at, for instance, Microsoft E3 license.
Yeah.
But I did not create a plan for it. I just imported from Connect to PLM.
Yeah.
It means
Yeah.
that I'll have these visible. This is a sellable
Yeah.
product,
Yeah.
but it's not for sale because it's not yet inside a plan, right?
Yeah, true.
Because I just imported it. That's what was going to happen.
It's available in the resources option in operations and thus in billing. And there is a service template that contains it.
Yeah, but
Because-
it's not sellable because we do not have
Yeah,
a
there
plan
is no
to
plan
sell
on
it.
top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you go to that product portfolio, there are a couple of things that we can see. And what am I talking about? Let me show you where I am in this scenario. If I go to external catalogs, I see a list of products that have been enabled. So let me wait for this one to load. It's not that fast in this case because it's a demo system, so it's very limited. And there's a lot of products available that he needs to load and evaluate. So that's why it's a little bit slower. But while we wait for this to load, let's go back to the slides. You will see a couple of tiles there with the installed ones and then anything that is available, where you will find a marker here. And with that marker, we try to signal what needs updating, what is okay, etc., etc. If it's green with a checkbox, it means that you're up to date with this product. There is no newer product in the system. If it gives me a blue circle with an exclamation mark, it tells you that updates are available and should be imported from Connect. You open that tile in that case. Let's see if it's already there. Yeah, we have it. You see most of it is available and is ready, but luckily there are two that require some work. So if I click this one, it's again takes some time. And there is an update button there. Click it, the system will again pull in all the new information, anything that has been changed, and it goes to green again. In the meantime, it might show a gray icon here. Gray means we're working on it. So if I want to update or import a new product, I can go into that product here, add it to portfolio. That means it will start showing here at the top as a installed product with a gray icon there. Until, of course, everything has been imported, all the connection has been made, all resources have been created, all or the one service template has been created. In that case, it goes green. It will always pull the latest version of the product. There is no possibility with Connect to say, hey, I want the before last product. It's always the latest version that is pulled. That's the whole idea about Connect, that people are always up to date, or as that they know when they need to update something. And this, since it's all integrated into the platform, there are no extra steps to be taken. I say update, and the system will automatically do that. And as far as I know, we have a 5.9 success rate on updating those things without an issue. So there's also no reason anymore to not be on the latest version. And that was the whole idea initially, to start with Connect, because we had people complaining to us that they were not able to sell the latest SKUs from Microsoft. And then we did investigate, and we saw that they were, let's say, 4 or 5 versions behind on the APS package for Microsoft. And then we asked them, why did you not? Well, it's a hassle. We have to do it on 4 places because each scenario we need to do 2 things. We need to update the endpoint with the new scripts, and we have to update the platform, the commerce platform itself. And we have to do that for staging, and we have to do that for production. It's too much work, or whatever. And the whole idea behind this is that we want to enable people to be on the latest version of the product. If you update the product itself, it will not break the PPR import that have been done. We try to be, let's say, backwards compatible, meaning that a newer version should still work if you have not uploaded the PPR file yet. Another hand, tell me.
Yeah.
Is this update product something like the yeah, it's there are 2 things in APS. In APS you had to update the actual instance in commerce, but you also had to update the endpoint, the website, the virtual website that you created that contained
Yes.
all those provisioning scripts. In this case, it does both of those things at the same time, because
Got it.
actually there is no endpoint anymore. That's Connect itself, and it updates the instance. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the instance that you have in the applications menu. And you have the tab, the general tab, and then the header versions. You have the instance. You can have more than one instance and more than one version in APS. I believe that is not possible here in
Here
Connect,
you only
right?
have you only have one option or one instance.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't press this update button that I showed you here, you will be on the before last version. But the moment I update the one and only instance that is available.
Yeah, I'm asking this because we actually use the instance stuff in APS to have a pre-production environment, Then we just test it. If it works in pre-production, then if it works, then we upgrade the instance with the customers, So I don't have this option anymore, right?
Not really with those actual instances, but in the connector, we have the capability of doing those test in production, those tip actions if needed.
Okay, so in the Connect the training, we should have this information.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. One of the things that could happen, for instance, is this use case. So a distributor decides to temporarily stop selling a product everywhere or in specific countries. How do I do that? Well, actually, there are a couple of possible options depending on what the use case is. The first one is if you want to completely stop to sell a specific product, there is a published column in the service plans tab. And the moment you set that one to false, that product is not being sold anymore. This is how it would look. Another option could be that you clear the published column in the op units service plans. That op unit service plans that takes care of, and let me pull it up quickly, that takes care of this part, right? So if I want to stop selling in this case, I think it's Denmark, we clear the column in the op unit service plans tab, or we set the published to false there. Here we have that column. Here we have that column published. There you see it. However, this one shows it a little bit better. Op unit service plans with those plans for the US. In this case, in my graph, it was Denmark. You say published is false. So a couple of ways of doing this. Another thing that could happen is, for whatever reason, a vendor decides that he wants to or he needs to change the name of an item or a product. And what would normally happen? We would have all kinds of issues. However, since all this is bound to product IDs and MPNs, if you import it new, the name will be automatically changed, and every resource in billing, resource rates, etc., will change to the new name. Even if the customer or the vendor decided to change the description, we will change that information. Under the hood, PLM will take care of that, which of course is a very handy thing to have, especially in scenarios like Microsoft, where the same resource, the same item in Connect is, let's say, or Microsoft is changing things on the fly while they're selling it, etc. In this case, you only have to import the new product configuration, and everything happens in the background. You import, the respective product in PLM will be renamed automatically. And then we have this one.
Is it optional or
No.
it's mandatory?
It's mandatory because you want that that name to reflect what it reflects in Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft case, yes, but maybe there is some other cases that we don't. That's why I'm asking. Okay.
In that case,
Oh, well,
I'm not
I can go
100%.
to the
I'm not
classic
100%
panel
sure
and
if Microsoft.
change the name.
The thing is that
Okay.
Microsoft is not responsible for the Connect product. We are, and I'm not 100% sure if we also import anything else than the English names. So as far as I know, we only import anything in English, and it's up to you when you use that PPR file to translate it to Portuguese and to Spanish and to whatever language you want it.
Yes.
And of course, that necessarily does not also translate. So that might be something that you can use.
Yeah. Yeah, we are talking Microsoft here. I'm thinking like Microsoft, yes, it's important to have the same name because they use partner center. So it's important to have the same customer uses the partner center. But
Yeah.
maybe there are some other like Adobe or something that I don't want that to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That could
in
be
that case, that is not an option. It might be that because we also build the connector for Adobe, it might be that we take care of this in our connector. But in general, this is how it works. Period. So if you import
Okay.
something and the vendor
it.
changed the name, we will change the name.
Oh, okay, got it. No biggies. Just
Yeah.
to understand the rule. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And maybe that is the key takeaway, that this is how it works, and you have to maybe prepare for that in the future. So
Yeah,
I already
and
showed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also enable to change this name in BA. So it's just that it's a work
Yeah.
to be done, but I have to pay attention to this. Okay, thank you.
True. Yeah. So what we have here is, I showed you this already, the export products and plans. If you are in the product lines tab, now it is portfolio. It's not called products anymore. My mouse does not want to do what I want to do. So it's portfolio now. But in the product lines, at the end of that product line, there is this little 3 dots. If you click it, you're allowed, or you are given the option to export products and plans. This is one line. In this screenshot, it was concatenated into 2 specific lines in the item, but it's not export products or export products and plans. It's always export products and plan, and it will export what it knows about this specific portfolio thing. So if it only has resources and the product line, it will only export the products, which means the items or the resources. If it already has plans, it will export everything that it knows about this product, everything that has been imported at some point, it will again cough up. So you can see what is there, you can document what is there by just exporting this and storing that export file, that Excel sheet, as your documentation, because this is what the system knows about product line 1, product line 2, product line 3, etc., etc. So that's a key thing to remember. And now you will see that I highlighted what the slide already highlights. I always forget that the slides do that. So who gets access to PLM at this moment? Who gets access to PLM? Well, actually, it is a privilege, or actually a product that I give to my resellers. In future PLM versions, the import will be available at any level. Import from Connect. At this moment, as far as I've seen and as far as I've tested, it's only available for the provider, meaning at top level. So adding a new product from the external catalog will only be available at that provider level. The rest of the functionality, one of the things that we can do, manual in-house products, every level can already do. So if I am a reseller, where am I? Go. I'm on my reseller. I'm going to log in as a reseller. Let's do that. Resellers. Let me search for one. What is an interesting one? Let's use this one. I don't care. Go here. Go to UX1. And go to my portfolio. Zoom out a little bit. I can add a product. And if I add a product, it is something that is only available in this reseller, of course, and it's at this point only a manual provisionable scenario, just like we used to have in DummyGate. I can add it to resource categories straight away. The moment I'm creating a product, let me change to a different platform where I have my own demo reseller, just to make sure that I don't mess up anybody else's demonstrations. This is where I am a reseller here. Where is my portfolio? There is my portfolio. You see, I can do products and I can do prices, nothing more. I cannot go to an external catalog. But if I want to add a product, I can do that by adding a demo product. The resource category being whatever I want. Let's do additional resources. I can add an icon if I want to. It's an in-house product or it's a composite product. Composite product is a composite resource. And I'm going to add it to a new product line. That means that when I click create, let me call it demo service template, just to make sure that it's there. And I create it. Oh, product description, put in some text, create. Let me zoom out a little bit so it's still possible. It could not be created. This account does not own any of the resources of type, and this is what I wanted to demonstrate, because when you add PLM, another option is set up. Let me go here. This plan is created, in-house products for resellers. And what it does, it gives me a privilege to and a resource to create in-house products. Just like a reseller needs to have the customer's resource to be able to sell to customers. If he doesn't have the customer's resource, he cannot add customers. If I don't have that, I get that error message. It's a little bit friendlier now. It used to be, hey, you don't have a PDI in product /1.0 resource, blah, blah, blah. In this case, it just gives me the ID of that resource, which means I don't have the privilege to do so. So let me go back to my original environment. Come on. And let's use my mouse does not behave nice at the moment. Resellers. Where is my EU reseller? Let's put 100 on a page. Ingram Micro. Or is it not here? Don't I have that one on this one? Let's take that one then. No, let's not do that. Let's take one of the first. Let's go here. Let's go to UX1. Go to portfolio. I'm going to add a product. Demo product. Maybe I should type demo with all the right letters in the right place. I have to put in some description there. I'm going to create a new product line. Demo ST, demo service template. Create it. Product creation started. Let's search for demo. There are too many demo things. There it is. So here we have the product line is called demo ST. If I now go to my operations and I go to resources, reset the results, call it demo pro. There it is. There is your resource, the demo product. It's an in-house product for Service Pro. In the service templates, demo ST. There it is. It is a service template with one resource in it, the demo product, and anything that is needed for it to work, right? We need a tenant, etc., etc. If I go back to this one. No, where is it? This is the one. And I add another product. And let's call it demo product 2. Put in something here. I can use a new product line, or I can use the one that I just created. In this case, I'm going to use that one. You see there is no name required anymore. If I create this product, we now have 2 within that product line. Going back to my service template and I refresh the page, you see that it added this one there as well. If I now go, let's close this one. Let's go here. No, sorry. There. If I now go to my product line, there it is. Now I have to zoom out because I want those dots. Here we are. There's my demo ST. Click, export products and plans. imported catalog. I'm going to call it imported catalog _2. Saving it. If I open that catalog and move this one to this screen, you will see that there are only two tabs, the structure requirements and the resources that I just created, with their individually created MPNs, with the vendor, with the measurable falls unit, other products categories, the description in English, etc. So now if I want to create a plan on top of this, I need to add a service plans tab. I need to add a plan periods tab, a resource rates tab, etc., etc. So depending on what the system knows about this, it will export the information. I see your hands up. Tell me. Let me see. If I have a new product, when I export the spreadsheet, they will come in this download too. Yeah. Even if they are not under a plan. That is absolutely correct. And if I just created a new product item manually, you see that nothing comes in except for that only tab. Does that answer your question, Ana Paula?
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's continue. We're almost there, guys. So I'm almost giving you your, I wouldn't say your weekend, but the rest of your day back. A key thing, what you need to know is, and those are, let's say, let's call it limitations. Portfolio delegation does not work on individual resellers. I only do this on a reseller group, which means that service template. If you from the start have created reseller templates per reseller, I know that some of the providers do that. Of course, you can delegate on an individual reseller level because the link, the reseller group, is bound to one individual reseller. But that also means that if you have a lot of resellers that you created this way, the list of reseller group names in that Excel sheet grows out of proportion, because now you will have reseller group name 1, reseller group name 2, up to reseller group name 800, etc., etc. So there are pros and cons of having it done it that way. In most cases, reseller group is sufficient. And then for specific resellers, if they don't want to use those plans, or not all the plans, they can start disabling individual plans or not showing those plans in their marketplace. Another thing, PLM does not allow resellers to access a shared portfolio directly through UX1. What do I mean with that? I mean with that the way to work for a reseller with a shared portfolio is through the marketplace. What I mean with that is that in the products or portfolio list, you only see the individual information. To start selling it and showing it, disabling it, you have to be in the service plans option in the marketplace itself. We are working on that, and that will change. Another thing, if you define in the Excel sheet, let me pull up the Excel sheet, and let me pull up a correct one that has more than just the resources tab. Let's use this one. Nope, that's not the correct one. Don't save. Let me pull up another one, a recent one. That one. Here we are. If we set in the service plans tab, the expiration notification template, or the expiration notification template, and it is a new notification template, it will generate only a message for the actual last day of that subscription. So it will not have a, as we discussed on Monday, something that does 15 days before, 5 days before, etc., etc. It will just have one message that says your subscription has expired on that last day. That doesn't matter because you can always go in to that notification schedule to add items, as I showed you on Monday. So this is what it will show: expiration email and the schedule detail. Nothing more, nothing less. It will just say, okay, at the last day of the subscription, send a notification that this subscription has expired. But you can extend that schedule. You could also first create those schedules and then use it in that column in the Excel sheet. So it depends on how you want to work. Adding orders, and this is a tricky one. Adding orders to a new customer from a PLM-based product, I cannot do in Classic Panel. You have to go through the marketplace in PLM. That's a key thing. That's quite a limitation. However, the system will be clear that it's not allowed and that you should use UX1. Why is that? Because UX1 placing an order will kick off a slightly different flow of the orders before it reaches the actual order flow. It will look at things like is it working on the rating engine, etc., etc. There are a couple of dependencies that the Classic Panel doesn't know about that UX1 does know about. So that is one of the limitations as well. And let me go to my documentation quickly because I want to verify something. Place order through the API for PLM is an option. Configuring is there. Get ready for selling. We have to create plans, switching paths, unpublishing plans for operating units and resellers. We talked about that. The file requirements monitoring, and then we've got access to the API through a proxy, how to do that, and to place orders using the API. We have documentation on that one. However, let me go back to my slide deck. Plan management at this moment is not there in API. Order placement, etc., is there. It will keep working. If you want to integrate with Cloud Blue Commerce for scenarios where we have PLM set up, we advise, by the way, simple API and not the API SDK anymore. Simple API works a little bit better to do that. Having said that, that is the last slide before I thank you. So let's first talk about what questions do you have. I'm able to create orders for Microsoft products using PCP today. That is strange. That should not be possible. Do you have, by accident, an APS package still for Microsoft available?
No, I'm creating for MC because we are doing the migration manually, still from CSP to NC, and we create like 40, 50 orders every day using PCP.
Oh, that's funny. Maybe it is a limitation that has been lifted I
On the
haven't
version
looked at
21,
PLM for a
maybe.
long time.
Maybe it's version 21 thing because we're
No,
in 20
it used to be, it's a
Still.
PLM thing. So it should not depend on the version of Cloud Blue Commerce.
Oh, I got it.
So it
Funny.
might be that this is a limitation that they worked on that I did not hear about, that they already lifted. That I would very much love that. I'm not sure if there are any repercussions to it, but if it's possible,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
pretty
we are
sure
doing
it will be a good thing. Let me quickly test something. Let me get rid of this one.
And just to, I thought maybe it would be a restriction from version 21 on forward, but
No, it's not. It's not. Let me see. We've got 365 commercial that is coming from PL. Let me go to product, external catalog, sorry, where the fulfillment system is connect. Now we have to wait for some time. I want to test something where I know it is PLM. So we wait for this to load. Let's do tree. What do we have for tree? This is that demo thing. Let's see if I can copy this. Come on, I want to copy the PRD. Where's my PRD? There it is. Control C. Let's go to products for this one. V. Search. There it is. Fulfillment system connect. Do we have plans on top of this one? Products, marketing materials. Now my whole system does not work because it doesn't scroll. But we have a product line name, Control C. Wow. Service templates.
could also be that I'm not aware of the existence of an APS for us still. That could be my misunderstanding too. I don't know.
Let's see. We've got that one. And do we have plans on top of that? Yes, we have. We've got a 179. So if I now would place an order in PCP for 179, subscription period, 1 month, next. So it might be that you're doing things that are not handled by
It could be that
PLM
we
yet.
still have
it
an
could still be
APS.
connect. It could still be connect. But if that product comes through the Connect extension, you can order through this one. But this is the latest version with the latest version of PLM. So if I were you, I would verify if the product that you're ordering through provider control panel, if those are
Microsoft.
related to a PLM.
Yeah, it's a PLM
product.
because we are using the PPR to load the information for these plans. It's PLM. All
That is
our
very
NC
strange.
plans, yeah, all our NC plans, they are loaded using PPR and stuff. So it's not even us, it's Riara that is doing this for us nowadays.
Okay.
So, and we are selling these, in our migration, we're generating these orders using PCP.
Okay, let me verify that
But I don't know, maybe it's because it's an APS and I don't know that. Is it possible that PLM is administrating something from an APS? I don't think so,
No.
right?
No, that should not be. So I'm going to verify that. This is the Brazil platform, right?
Yes, in my case, yes, not the one I'm seeing in your screen, but yes.
No, but for the Brazil platform, let me verify that and send an email to the invitees of this item. Because as far as I know, that limitation is still there, and I see it happen here as well. So I have to verify with product or with managed services what is happening on your side.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. We don't want this to be changed because we are using it. So
I know, but I want to know how they made sure that it works on your side and not on mine.
yeah, I don't know what. That's what I thought it was funny because we use it like every single day.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So
And that's why I don't understand, because I still see that behavior. And as far as I know, this platform is on the latest version of commerce. It's also on the latest version of PLM. So it should have all the features that, as they are, let's say, set up, or as they are configured or described in the documentation. I will investigate, Ana Paula.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on this? If not, I thank you for being here the last couple of days, listening to me. If you have questions, you have my email address. It's in the invite. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you soon in any follow-up training. Have a great day, guys. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.